Now, the blessing with Creator says, you have much to teach, and if you must create, and you are required by laws that bind together the entire natural and unnatural world to see through until you have shared what you can. It is time to create and to share with your creations your knowledge. It is time, in short, to be a maker, a parent, a mature being. And then working with this card says that you have a creative spirit and the ability to bring to life a wonderful new project. This will bring you wonderful responsibilities and opportunities. Don't hesitate or delay. This is part of your sacred purpose. But what gets me is looking at guilt. Now, for some of you who are parents, it's about, not doing things for, your kids that they should be doing for themselves. But, there's a little bit more to this. Now, guilt. The card at a glance says that this card indicates deep caring and protection from emotional hurt through standing strong in your emotions. There is great inner resolve here. Once your mind is made up, you can see when others have tried to manipulate you. For crying out loud, reclaim your life. The inspiration says, do not do for others what they need to do for themselves. Speak truth from your heart. Honesty is freedom. Any guilt is fear of being disliked. And the very first quote for this says, I'm sorry, but I have to take care of myself. Now, the personal question says, am I giving away too much time and energy and resenting it? Is my anger really guilt? The key ideas are self-care, burdened by obligations, enabling others, and finding personal power. So, needing to be careful here about feeling like you need to do something for somebody else when they should be doing for themselves. But then at the same time, needing to tap into, your creative resources here with Creator. All right, Pisces, here we go. Here's the energy coming through. Ugh, the Five of Cups. So, right off the bat, emotional suffering, emotional pain, but then also feeling like you received less than what you had expected. And that's because the focus is on the 3 cups that are spilled. You're not looking at the 2 that are still remaining. But it can suggest that, there may have been something or someone that is creating, this emotional suffering, which really sucks because last week you guys had a beautiful reading. Now, in the past, the King of Pentacles. Now, when you're talking about this in terms of work, when we're looking at the King of Pentacles, as far as an energy that's going on around you, it is talking about your success. But when you're looking at the Five of Cups, it's not receiving what you had expected. Now, on the other hand, for some of you, you may be dealing with a person here, and this could be an earth sign. And this could be the person who is responsible for the hurt feelings. This may be somebody who is too focused on the material and not so much on the emotional. And that may be where you're not receiving, what you need out of, this person or this situation. Okay, so present conditions, the Ace of Swords, clarity, having the truth, and knowing the truth. And I worry a little bit. I kind of feel both. I feel like a truth is being spoken by this person that's going to hurt your feelings, but then at the same time, I feel like you're learning the truth about something and having absolute clarity. But still though, the overall with the hurt emotions is what bothers me here. Ugh. Now, my goodness, Pisces, you rode a wave here. You had a fantastic reading last week, but this one's a little bit difficult. The Ten of Swords and future conditions. It's over. It's over with. Unfortunately, it's over with in a painful way, but then again, it is the ending of pain. Unfortunately, the clarity brought the ending rather than the ending bringing clarity here. What I worry about is how much of this is still being held on to, with the emotional pain being there. Oh my goodness, Pisces. Your best path to follow, the Eight of Wands or the Eight of Staves, it's talking about, communication. There's something that needs to be said. But, the other thing, though, too, is if you know that you're dealing with a situation that is not in your best interest here, it's telling you that you also have to start acting quickly. Especially if you're headed toward, this painful ending here. You know, it's like right now, like right now. But the big thing though with the Eight of Wands is you will know when to act. It's like you see a door opening and you know when you need to start taking action. But I feel like there's a need for you to start acting immediately toward this, especially if you have the truth and clarity that you need and you know what you need to do. It's just whether or not, you know, you're doing it and you're acting toward it. But then also in terms of communication, though, there may be something that needs to be said on top of that. Now, in your environment, the Magician, I hesitate on saying this. You know, what I feel more so is that there may be like manipulation happening because of the Five of Cups being there and looking at the Ten of Swords coming out. But then at the other hand, you know, for some of you, it's just about a lack of confidence in your ability to change the situation with what truth you now know. I mean, it's rough. I'd like to look at the Magician as you manifesting cool ass shit, which would be great if you weren't looking at, you know, this loss and this emotional suffering here with the Five of Cups. You know, and it's directly related to this King of Pentacles and the truth that is known here. But then, you know, what are you doing with it, though? You know, I feel like you just land into this spot here where things end in a way that, you know, you may not want them to. But I worry a little bit here with the Magician. Ooh, boy. Now, your hopes and your fears, the Three of Cups. And again, you know, with the Five of Cups being the overall here, it's going to, you know, affect the situation. When you're looking at the Three of Cups, though, and then especially with the Ten of Swords being here, you know, there may be other people involved that may be, you know, creating some difficulty. And I hate saying that. I hate third-party situations. It bothers the crap out of me. You know, on the other hand, it's hoping to have support because, you know, the Three of Cups is a support group. You know, I mean, traditionally, it's about celebrating and those who care about you celebrating with you, you know. But I'm going back to guilt. And, you know, it's funny because I look at the chain on her, right? And feeling obligated to do things possibly for somebody else, you know, which bothers me a little bit. I don't know, Pisces. This one worries me a little bit. And then looking at what you're going to do next. Okay, so basically, you know, there's the mental block here. There isn't any movement forward here because first you're needing some fairness and some balance with justice. You're needing these wrongs to be amended here. And that may be where the hesitation on moving forward is. It's like you're hoping to see this, but then again, there's still, you know, things ending in a way that you don't want them to. Now, when you're looking at the star, you know, again, needing to do some healing here, some hope and some healing, right? And not feeling like you're being stripped of hope either, especially with the Eight of Swords being there. But then, you know, coming out of this with the Two of Wands, it's looking at, you know, what actions am I going to start taking now? You know, where am I going to go from here? What is it that I need to start doing? You know, but I feel like for some of you, instead of thinking about what action you need to take, I keep going back to this Eight of Wands and feeling like you need to start taking action now. Like, you know, you need to do something about this now before things get any worse than what they already are. You know, especially if you're dealing with a person who may be manipulating and you feel like an obligation toward them. You know, and if you have a support group, definitely these are the people that are going to help you out. But then at the other hand, you know, like I said, with the Three of Cups, I worry about this being like an outside group of people that may be influencing the situation. You know, but I don't know. I get the sense here that you're dealing with somebody who is more concerned with, you know, the material, looking at the King of Pentacles. But there's definitely a truth that's being made known that, you know, is going to lead to an ending here. But I don't feel like it has to be this kind of painful ending. It all depends on the action that you start taking. But if you're trapped mentally, you know, there isn't a whole lot of movement forward. And basically it comes down to, you know, again, you needing some fairness and balance here with justice, needing to have these wrongs corrected. You know, but instead of thinking about what action you need to take, you know, I wouldn't, looking at the star, I don't know. I would caution about holding out hope for a situation that is ending this way anyway, you know, because the whole point here is to have, you know, that healing, but also to have that emotional balance with the star, especially with the Five of Cups being there, you know. And for some of you, it could simply be coming out of a very difficult situation here and having a support group around you, which is what I'm hoping is the case, you know, rather than dealing with people who are continuously meddling in what, you know, they think you should be doing. You know, but I do think that with guilt being here, some of you may feel like you have an obligation to somebody who is not doing the same for you, you know, and that's a little bit of the worry there. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the soul trees to see what other messages there are for you guys. Truth, which we know, inner voice, and treat yourself better, damn it. Your inner voice is speaking the truth to you, and it's a matter of whether or not you're going to listen to it in this situation. If your inner voice is telling you it's time to start treating yourself better, that is exactly what you need to start doing. But truth is always important, you know. My mom always said that the truth will set you free. No matter how painful it is, you know, it will be a burden that is being lifted. It's just a matter of whether or not, you know, you stay stuck with this, expecting to have fairness out of a situation that I feel is like not going to be there. You know, there's potential with the star, absolutely, but I feel like you're holding out hope for a situation because of this and this being here that may not change, you know, in a way that creates that balance and that fairness. But definitely start treating yourself better, because you deserve to be treated better than what I'm seeing here, you know, especially if you're dealing with manipulation, you know. But again, I would like to think, especially with the Ace of Swords there, that for some of you, you have that, you know, mental breakthrough, that epiphany, that aha moment where you realize that, you know, you have the ability to start manifesting better things, you know. And again, that kind of brings me back to Creator. But, you know, definitely pay attention to that inner voice and start treating yourself better. All right, guys, we're going to take a look at the romance angels to see what messages there are for you guys in terms of relationships. And then let go of control issues, allow the situation to unfold naturally. So, you know, if you're dealing with relationship issues here, it's saying that there's still a lot of chemistry there, but needing to let go and kind of let things unfold the way that they need to. You know, I don't, oh my goodness, I kind of feel like, you know, you need to let go of the idea that, you know, you can control what is happening despite the strong attraction that there may be. You know, so you got to kind of like let go and just let things happen the way the way that they need to. Now, you know, in terms of those who are in happy relationships, you know, if this is an outside situation here, looking at the Three of Cups, if you're talking about, you know, again, the support group, friends, right? Then, you know, there's a need for you to just kind of let go of the situation here and just be together in the relationship, especially if there's a good attraction there. But I don't know. I worry a little bit, though, in terms of, you know, you feeling like you need to control a situation that is just going to end up in a way that it doesn't need to for you. It doesn't need to be this painful. It can just end and you can be okay. But what I worry about is where, you know, the emotional and mental backing is. You know, and I do think that you need to act quickly before it gets to this point, because it really truly doesn't need to. You know, you have the ability to manifest what you want, despite what, you know, somebody else is making you feel possibly obligated to do, looking at, you know, guilt again.